passionate.
Do you have people praying for you? Because, when you're on the road, the devil's after you. I'm like, the devil's after me when I'm at home.
Faith.
I've tried everything and it's just not working. When are you gonna do something? Anybody here? Or is that just me? Ooh, the rest of y'all lying.
Million-selling author of 30 books and counting. Co-host and guest on award-winning TV. Welcome, the show McKinney Hammond.
Wait. I gotta take a picture of everybody. Look at somebody and say, girl, you look amazing. Because you do. I am so happy to be here today, all the way from Ghana, West Africa. I loved you that much to fly that long to come and see you. And it's just good to be back home with my girls, Julie and Angela and Lisa. We've been through a lot together, haven't we? And it's just always awesome. Years have gone by, and we are still together and still loving on Jesus and loving on you. So I'm happy to be here with you, and I'd just like to continue in an attitude of worship before I share what God has put on my heart. Is that okay? Okay. The darkness comes and you move, a teardrop falls and you move, collecting them in a bottle, bathing me in your light, perfecting every detail, making all things right. You move, aligning things within your master plan. You move and you orchestrate the ways and plans of man. You move and suddenly my way is crystal clear. You make a path to follow through my tears every time you move. Anybody know what I'm talking about this morning? The morning dawns and you move. I bow down and you move, perfecting every details, chasing every fear, birthing peace within me, saying never fear. You move, aligning things within your master plan. You move and you orchestrate the plans and ways of man. You move and suddenly my way is crystal clear. You make a path to follow through my tears every time you move. I can feel you inside of me, speaking peace and you still the storm, Lord, and you make me whole again and again. You move, aligning things within your master plan. You move and you orchestrate the plans and ways of man. You move and suddenly my way is crystal clear. You make a path to follow through my tears every time you move. Every time Every time you move me, love. Every time you move. Hallelujah. He does move. Even when you can't see him, he's moving. There's a song a long time ago that said, if you can't see his hand, trust his heart. Talking about passion today. Juicy topic, huh? My favorite topic, passion. How many people are passionate in the house this morning? Woo! I'm passionate about food. No, I'm passionate about the Lord too. And I just thought that since I'm starting this off that I'd kind of just set it up. You know, because what is it? I mean, when I heard the theme, I said, ooh, Julie, that's juicy. I love that. And then I thought about it. What does that really mean? Passionate faith. What is it? Why do we need it? How do we get it? You know, as I said, Julie and Angela and Lisa and I have been together for many, many years, and they have watched me go through a lot of things. I know that you think that everyone in ministry is perfect, but trust me, we bleed for every word that we write and we say to you. And so I have gone through a series of trials that they have watched quite sympathetically and lovingly. Angela's just smiling like, I've gone through being hit by a car and being physically disabled for a while. I have suffered romantic tragedies. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Let me see all the single ladies. All the single ladies. Oh, yes. Girl, I got books for you right up there. But also, I didn't leave the married ladies out. There's stuff for you too. But I've also been through great financial upheaval and loss in my life, and about 2 years ago, I lost everything. I don't know how many other people can relate to that, but I had to give my office back to the bank, and I had to short sale my home, and I had used up all my personal reserves, still trying to hold on to my staff, and wondering what was God doing with my life. Afraid to let go, clinging and holding on. And I was actually at an E-Women conference standing next to Julie, and Matthew West was singing my favorite song, The Motions. I don't want to go through the motions. I don't want to spend one more day without your all-consuming passion inside of me. I don't want to spend one more day asking, what if I had given everything instead of going through the motions? And while that song was playing, I was like, yes, Lord, I don't want to just go through the motions. I want to have your all-consuming passion. What do you want me to do? I'll go where you want me to go. I'll do what you want me to do. I'll be who you want me to be. And he said, good, move to Africa. I said, huh? Can we talk about this when the song is over, Lord? When are you moving, Michelle? You see, the backstory was my father had passed away. My father is from Ghana, West Africa, and he had left 2 businesses and properties in my care and pretty much all his worldly goods. And I had been trying to live a double life, flying back and forth. And I spent more time recovering from jet lag than anything else, but I was determined to get my ministry back up on track here and get moving with my life and just put someone there to manage everything and move on with my life comfortably. And the Lord said, when are you moving? I was like, oh. And so I said, Lord, you know how we are. We're so spiritual. Lord, if that's you, untie my bow tie. Who stole my Honda? Ha, ta, 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 ta. Confirm it. Confirm it, Lord. So I go back to my office on Monday, and my bookkeeper, who's not saved, comes up to me and says, can we have a talk? She's very perky that way. And I said, sure, Annie. She says, let me just get straight to the point. You need to shut this thing down. If I were you, I would move to Ghana and sit there for a year and not do anything and try to figure out what God was doing with my life. So I said, okay. And 3 weeks later, all my worldly goods and my dogs were packed up and on their way to Ghana. And I have to tell you that it was not on my bucket list. It was not on my list of things to do. Obviously, it had been my Father's will all along. And don't we all want to live in the Father's will? And sometimes that's not on our bucket list, the things that He's planned for us. But He knows the plans He has for us. And I have to tell you, it's the best thing that's ever happened in my life. I wake up every morning feeling the kiss of God and knowing that I'm exactly in the center of His plan. And I have experienced the greatest joy I've ever known. Every day is an adventure in Ghana. And let me tell you, I think whether you're in Ghana or whether you're in America right now, we all need to possess passionate faith. What is that exactly? Well, Hebrews 11:1 starts off by telling us that faith is the assurance of things that we hope for, the conviction of things not seen. The assurance of things hoped for. How can you be sure when you see nothing? Is the question. I love this, a song by Darwin Hobbs, one of my great buddies. He sings, it's called He's Able. And I love that song. God is able to do what He said He would do. He's able. And I always say, I love that song, but that's not the question I have for God. I don't know about you. I'm sure He's able to do whatever He wants to do. I mean, He is God. But will He is the question. And will He do it for me is the greater question. Amen? In the Message, it says the fundamental fact of existence is that this trust in God, this faith is the firm foundation under everything that makes life worth living. And I'm telling you, if you don't have anything to believe in, life is not worth living. It says it's our handle on what we can't see. This act of faith is what distinguished our ancestors and set them above the crowd. Surely we are peculiar people growing weirder by the day. In the eyes of the world anyway, right? So this faith is just this assurance. It's just this built-in thing in the center of our core that we know that we know that we know. We don't know why, because passion has no reason, really. Passion is just unbridled. It's bold. It's fearless. It's full of love, and it's full of everything that it yearns for. And so it drives you forward in spite of what you don't see, in sight of what you cannot touch. It moves you forward, and it gives you this assurance that you know that you know that you know. You don't know how, but it's going to be all right. God is going to show up in the middle of your situation. Why do we need this? Besides the fact that it's what makes life worth living, it says without faith, it is impossible to please God. For whoever should draw near to God must believe that He exists. The Message puts it this way: it's impossible to please God apart from faith. Why? Because anyone who wants to approach God must believe both that He exists. I mean, otherwise, who are you approaching? And that He cares enough to respond to those who seek Him. Let me say that again, because I love that. Not only must I believe that He is, but I've got to believe that He cares enough about me to respond to me when I seek Him. Look at somebody and say, God is passionate about you. Do you know that? He does. He cares about you, and He cares enough to respond when you seek Him. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. Why? Because if we do not believe that God will show up on the other side of our obedience, we won't obey. You see, it is obedience that pleases God. He says He prefers obedience over sacrifice. So when we think about what pleases God, what is this faith that pleases Him? It is the faith that motivates us to obey His word so that we can receive the blessing that He has on the other side of our obedience. The word puts it this way in Hebrews: by an act of faith, Abel brought a better sacrifice to God than Cain. And this is the part I found interesting in the Message version. It says, it was what he believed, not what he brought, that made the difference. It was what he believed, not what he brought that made the difference. Yes, we're supposed to give the first fruit, but if we really believe him, we have no problem cheerfully giving the first of ourselves, the first of our times, the first of our earnings to God, because we believe that he will meet us with the offerings of ourselves and all we are and all we have and replenish us. Amen? This is what God noticed and approved as righteous. After all these centuries, that belief continues to catch our notice. Passionate faith believes that God will meet you on the other side of your obedience, even if you don't understand what you're doing. Do you know what it was like? As people said, "Are you sure you're supposed to be moving to Africa, girl?" I don't know. I can't see a diva living in Africa. And as I packed up all my worldly goods into that container and shipped it off on the ocean and packed up my 3 baby Shih Tzus and got on that plane, not looking back, I said, "Oh, Lord, I hope I'm not crazy." But I believed that he exists. I believed he had given me a word, and I believed that he would meet me when I landed on the other side. And indeed, he did. Only passionate faith will drive you to obey God fearlessly and without question. You know, passionate people look crazy. Are you crazy? I'm crazy. Passion has no fear. You know why? It's a perfected love. It's the perfected love of a thing or a person. Now, we hear of crimes of passion, okay? But it's because when you're passionate, you're all in. I mean, you know what I mean? You are all in. It is all or nothing. If I can't have you, no one else will. Ooh, that's scary. But only passionate faith will make us dare to take the leap of faith that God sometimes commands of us. As you look through the Bible, you see passionate people. Only passionate faith would make somebody tear the roof off of somebody's house to lower their friend down to get a healing. And that's passion. I mean, can you imagine if you tried that nonsense today? You would be arrested before you got the first tile off. Okay? It would be a hot mess. The person of the house that owned the house would be suing you. You would really have to be passionate about getting to Jesus to literally destroy someone's roof to lower your friend down to be healed. Only passionate faith would make you walk around a wall called Jericho 7 days in a row. Not saying anything. No cell phones. And then on the 7th day, shout with all your might and expect to see the walls come down. Only passion can do that. Only passionate faith could make a man pack up all of his belongings and look at his wife and say, "Baby, we are moving." And when she says where, he goes, "I don't know. God will show us when we get there." Say what? I don't know where we're going. God told me we were going, and he said he would show me where he wanted us. Are you crazy? I'm just telling you what God said, and I'm passionate enough about him to do what he says. And so they headed out. It said that Abraham was looking for a city in Hebrews 11:8. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive as an inheritance. And he went out not knowing where he was going. By faith, he went to live in the land of promise as in a foreign land, living in tents with Isaac and Jacob, heirs with him of the same promise. For he was looking forward to the city that has foundations, whose designer and builder is God. Only passion enlarges your vision to see the impossible, to hear the inaudible, to feel the intangible, and to believe for something greater and more beyond your reach than where you are right now. Do you have a vision this morning of something greater than where you sit? You should, if you have passionate faith. Only passionate faith would make somebody build a great big old ark in expectation of rain when it had never rained on the face of the earth. Can you imagine how ridiculous this man looked? Anybody watch that God of Bruce Almighty? I love that. Poor guy. You feel his pain. Here he is building this thing. Noah, what are you doing? I'm building an ark. What's that? I don't really know. But God gave me the dimensions, and I'm just working it out day by faith. Well, what's the ark for, Noah? Well, he said something about rain. Well, what is rain, Noah? Well, from my understanding of what God said, the earth is going to be filled with, well, yeah, it waters the earth every day by itself. No, I just can't see anything else happening beyond what has always happened. Well, I'm just doing what God said. Have you ever just said that? I'm just doing what God said. And then you know that suddenly that day came, and the floors of the earth opened, and the air and the windows of heaven opened, and the rain came down and flooded, and everyone had their aha moment before they drowned. But only passionate faith would prepare you ahead of time in spite of everyone's naysaying. You know, sometimes you just can't listen to folk. Now, there is wisdom in the multitude of counsel, but you've got to know the voice of God and know that you know who he is, and that comes from daily interaction with him till you become accustomed to his voice, and it lines up with his word, so that when he tells you something that seems absolutely absurd, you just go, yes, Lord. The Message Bible says that out of this experience with Noah building this ark, that he formed an intimate relationship with God. I guess he did, because I'm sure for every day that people came by and laughed at him, he had to go back and check in with God and say, are you sure, Jesus? I mean, have you ever done that where you started something, you knew it was God, and then in midstream you went, maybe I got this wrong. This just doesn't look at, I don't know. Are you sure, Lord? Passionate faith will draw you closer to God, because you are going to have to walk with him face to face, breath to breath, to stay in the right lane to acquire what he has promised. Only passionate faith would make a man willing to sacrifice the thing that was dearest to him, his only son. Abraham did it because he was convinced that God would raise his son back up. God did it for us because he was convinced that we'd have the sense to embrace him so that we could become his. Only passionate faith moves you forward in the things of God, makes you willing to walk on the wild side and live dangerously to acquire the amazing promises of God. You see, passionate faith realizes that it hopes against all hope. Why? Because it has no other option. When I was going through my trial and everybody was saying, I don't understand why you have no bookings, Michelle. You're good. I said, yeah, I'm good. I hope I'm good. There was no reason for my calendar being clear. There was no reason for any of the things that were happening besides the fact that God was drying up the brooks in my life to make me willing to move. Because if I had been rocking and rolling the way I had been in years, when he said go to Ghana, I would say, are you kidding me? I've got a speaking engagement next week, and I've got another one in the middle of the weekend. I've got another, oh God, my schedule's just too busy. I just can't move to Ghana. What am I going to do there? But because I had nothing, it was quite easy to say, okay, I'm out of here. At least I got a house that's paid for there. He will get you to the place where you have no other option than to believe him. That can be your finance, your romance, your children, your dreams, whatever it is. You know when it's God, when it's bigger than you, and it looks absolutely impossible, and yet he tells you to keep moving forward. You see, he puts this passion inside of us. And it's this passion that makes us willing to wrestle with God. I mean, like Jacob wrestled with God. Where you grab onto him, I mean, you got to be bold and passionate to fight with God and say, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. Have you ever been in that place? Where you just get in God's face and you say, I need to hear from you today, and I'm not moving until I do. I've been there many years ago in California. I was so disgusted with my situation. I couldn't find a job. I'd moved there. I had skills. I didn't know what was going on. And I was like, God, I am not coming out of my apartment till you tell me something. And I shut my drapes and I unplugged my phone and I put on a little bit of worship music because, you know, sometimes for passion, you got to put yourself in the mood. And then I just started worshiping and praying and praising and thinking of every good thing that I could think of to say about God. And all of a sudden, the atmosphere just changed. And I knew he was there. I could feel him. It was palpable. Except I was so bowed over with awe, I couldn't even look up. You know when folks say, oh, you know, Jesus stopped by and was talking to me the other day while I was brushing my teeth. No, that was not a visitation. Because every time in the Bible when God showed up, folks fell on their faces in reverent awe and wonder. And that's how I was. I couldn't look up. I was sitting on a chair, and this was my posture. And I heard him say, what do you want? Now, the intellectual part of my brain was racing. He said, what do you want? You better come up with something, girl, because this is the moment to cash in. Let's get this. And of course, I needed rent money, I needed this, I needed that, I needed this. And as my brain just flitted through all the things, all of them suddenly seemed so insignificant. He was there. I mean, it seemed kind of stupid to say, can I have some rent money, Jesus? I mean, really? All I could do is weep and say, all I want is more of you. More of you, Lord. And as my tears poured out, I knew that was the answer he was looking for, because after that, my situation changed. And I had asked for nothing more than more of him. I won't let go until you bless me. But perhaps we've misplaced where the blessing is. The blessing is found in him. Only passion would make you pursue God up a mountain when your son is dead, and you go like the Shunammite woman to Elijah and say, as long as I live and as long as the Lord lives, I will not leave you. You are going to come back and do something about this situation. Passion makes you pursue God until you get an answer. I think we've gotten lazy. Oh, well, that's just the way life is. Oh, well, this is all that I can expect. No! Passion says, get up, pursue God, get in his face. Cling to him and put him in remembrance of his promises. Passion is what made Ruth leave the known for the unknown. Orpah obviously did not have enough passion. She wanted a husband. She went back to Moab. We never hear from her again. So if that's your only goal in life, we will never hear from you again. But Ruth said, oh no, where you go, I will go. Your people will be my people and your God will be my God. I know I'm an outcast where you're going, but something in the inside of me is passionate about finding out more about your God and claiming him as my own. And because of that, she was blessed. This passion that made Moses keep going back to Pharaoh. Let my people go. Maybe you have someone in your life that needs deliverance, that needs healing. Are you passionate enough about your husband's heart being restored to God and to you? Are you passionate enough about your children being restored to their right minds? You passionate enough about your dreams to say, let them go. Let them go, and keep going back, persistent like the widow, until you get what you want from God. He can't ignore passion. Passion made David talk to himself. Now, I do that a lot. Sometimes you just have to encourage your own soul, ladies. He said, who have I in heaven but you? He truly believed that God exists. The world would laugh at us and say, how can you believe in something you haven't seen? But everything that we see was made by someone who was unseen. And I feel him living and moving inside of me. I see him moving in different realms of my life. I can't ignore his existence. David said, who have I in heaven but you? At the end of the day, you're the only one I can run to when I need help, when I need deliverance, when I need healing, when I need hope, when I need comfort, when I need counsel. Whatever it is I need, it's found in the great I am. His name is not I was, it's not I am going to be. It is I am. I am all that you need. I am all that you're looking for. And as you place your passion in me, I will give birth to all the things that you long for. Jeremiah 29:11 in the Message says, I will give you the future that you hope for, but first you must seek me. And when I am the most important thing, when I am all that matters, I will reverse your fortunes. The world would distract us. David said, I would have fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Passion makes you wait, even when you don't know what you're waiting for. He said, wait on the Lord and be of good courage. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Passion rehearses faith. It rehearses what you know about God until what you don't know is manifested. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, or forget none of his benefits. We always want to know what's the benefit in everything. If you go for a job interview and they say, okay, we like what we see, you're hired. Do you have any questions for us? We go, yes, what are the benefits? Do I get a company car? Do I get a bonus? What is going to make me want to work for you? Besides the basic paycheck, what is it about your package that you're offering will make me want to do above and beyond the norm? God's got great benefits, got a great benefit package. Social Security, life insurance. Forgiving all your iniquities, covering you with steadfast love, satisfying your soul with good things so that your youth is renewed like the eagles. Now, your good thing might be different from my good thing. He knows individually what your good thing is, and he's passionate about satisfying you. Rehearse those things. Go back to your trophy case of faith and remember what he did last time, and remind yourself that if he did that then, he can do this now. Passionate faith rehearses what God has already done with a great expectation of what he is getting ready to do. Actually, he's already done it. You're simply waiting for the manifestation. Last of all, passionate faith is passionate about more than the here and now. Passionate faith knows that there's more to life than this. It seeks the greater option. It talks about in Hebrews that Moses, when he was grown, he refused the privileges of the Egyptian court. He chose a hard life with God's people rather than the opportunistic, soft life of sin with his oppressors. Sometimes we have to make choices, and those choices are driven by our passions. I was on radio in Ghana recently, and they were talking about premarital sex, and one of the women was saying, well, everybody does it. I said, what does that mean? So if everybody's going off the cliff, you're going to go off the cliff as well? Well, you know, we are products of society, she said. I said, we are not products of society. Society did not create me. God created me, and I was birthed by my parents, and I now make choices based on what I value most. My passion drives my choices. Man is not tempted by anything except his own lust, his own passions. And so what are the options that you seek? What drives your choices? Moses chose to walk with God rather than deal with the Egyptians. He could have just led the Cush life, but no. He chose a hard life because he was passionate about God, passionate about his people, passionate about God's will prevailing in the lives of those around him as well as his own. I'm not going to lie, you're not going to see everything you want maybe in this life. Sometimes we're just conduits to set it up. As David was passionate about building the temple, he merely handed the supplies to his son Solomon, and Solomon built the temple. So our passion can actually leave a legacy that continues far beyond us if we make the right choices now. Hebrews 11 tells us that each of these people of faith died, some of them not having in hand what was promised, but still believing. How did they do it? They saw it way off in the distance, and they waved their greeting at it and accepted the fact that they were transients in this world. Do you know that you are just traveling through? Sometimes we get stuck here. You know, I live in Africa, so one of the funny little jokes that they have is, oh, America, they think they're the world. That's why the baseball series is called the World Series. They're not playing the world. But what happens is, it's not just America, it's everywhere. We all become very myopic about our existences, and we are so stuck in where we are that we see no further. And God is saying, look beyond you, look beyond where you live now, look beyond your years. There's a whole life ahead of you. I'm creating a new heaven and a new earth. This is not it, folks, and we must keep that in mind so that the things of this earth don't cling to us and become more important than they really are. So what? You know, this is a moment. This is a sneeze in the face of eternity. Keep it in perspective. They saw it and they waved their greeting and accepted the fact they were transients. People who live this way make it plain that they are looking for their true home. This is not our home. Therefore, do not throw away your confidence or your passion, which has great reward. For you have need of endurance. Some stuff you just gotta wait it out. I mean, if you ever talk to couples that really are good couples, oh, they went through some stuff. No pain, no gain in any area of life. He says, you have need of endurance so that when you've done the will of God, you may receive what is promised. We are not those who shrink back and are destroyed, but we are those who have faith and preserve our souls. Do you know that passion is what preserves us? It preserves our very soul. It's the thing that makes us say no when our flesh would say yes, because we're looking unto God, the author and the finisher of our passionate faith. Passion is willing to be persistent and radical. It never gives up. So in closing, how do I get it? Where do I get this kind of faith from? It comes from personal experience with God. The word tells us, let us draw near with a true heart and full assurance of faith, with our hearts sprinkled clean from an evil conscience and our bodies washed with pure water. Let us hold fast the confession of our faith and our hope without wavering, for he who promised is faithful. Have you ever been through something and you thought, this is it? It's not going to get any better? Oh my goodness, let me just pack it up now. And then all of a sudden, God broke through. He moved in your life, and you had that aha moment. And you went, ah. And not only did you see the miracle, but you saw what he was doing all along. You saw the divine setup. I believe that's where Job was at the end of his trial when he said, I am convinced, God, that you can do any and everything. No one and nothing can upset your plans. I admit that I once lived by rumors of you, but now I have it all firsthand from my own eyes and ears. I'm sorry, forgive me. I will never doubt you again. I promise I'll never again live on crusts of hearsay and crumbs of rumor. Are you having an up-close and personal relationship with God where you know that he truly exists and that he will do what he's promised to do, that he is so passionate about you that he's willing to do what you've asked? Forget the rumors. This is about you This is about God. This is about your own personal passion. Many years ago, quick California story again, I had run out of all my money, and I was on my way to teach a Bible class for Andre Crouch's mom in the Valley. Remember that great guy? I mean, he's written amazing songs, The Blood That Jesus Shed for Me, and I was privileged to work with his family for a while. But, it was a lean time in my life. I was very young, and I was driving down the freeway, and I was upset with God. And I said, God, I have tithed even my unemployment check. And it was one of those mornings where I had searched all the pockets. Have you ever done that? Came up with about 3 cents. My tank was on E, and I said, Lord, I'm tired of hearing about everybody else's miracle. I need rent money, I need food, and I'm going to teach this Bible class, and it's up to you how this car gets filled up to get me back home, because I want my own miracle. I don't want to hear about what you did for Sally Sue or for Mary. I need my own miracle. Ever been there? You're laughing because it's true. Well, I walked across the parking lot and I put my hand in the back of my pocket and I felt something crumpled up, and when I pulled it out, it was a $20 bill, and I know an angel put it there because it wasn't there that morning because I had already checked that pocket. So I said, well, that's my gas money. And then I got in, I taught the class, and Sister Cross said, I think we should take up a collection for Michelle because she's so faithful. She drives all this way every time. And so they took up some money, $35. I said, good, grocery money. Then Sandra had left a little envelope on my desk, and she said, I got to run. And when I opened it, it just had a note that said, I wish I could give you more, but the Lord told me to give you this morning. This morning. When I opened it, it was exactly the amount I needed for my rent. My own miracle. And in that moment, I loved God even more because he had proven to me that he was, and that he was able to do what I asked of him. You see, true passion is born out of love. And our love grows with every experience we have with him, where he proves himself to us, which creates unflinching trust and bursts into passion, because love believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails, and neither will faith. How passionate are you this morning? Do you need your own miracle? Or do you just need to know that he is who he says he is? Not just that he is who he says he is, but that he wants to passionately display his love for you by meeting you where you are and meeting your needs. Passion. I challenge you this morning to get passionate about him, to get honest, to get real, to get in his face and expect him to meet you there.